Well, to be kicking off Split in this series, it's going to be Oxygen Esports to take the map 13-7. Honestly, quite a different scoreline, Vans, than where we started before the swap, because they were hand in hand at some point.
Yeah, it was definitely going back and forth at this point, and as I mentioned before, kind of really lucky at the end of the day here that Thinking Men were able to win that pistol run and convert that second round. If not, the storyline could have been different from that. And the storyline could have been different if it wasn't Reform playing the way that he did there on that first map, because holy crap, were they good there on defense thanks to that man.
Brother, I'm looking at it now because VLRGG is literally heaven. 4 doubles, 3 triples from Reform, dude. Like,
that's crazy.
By himself, and I think the majority of those were on the defensive side. So it's just like, man, you want to talk about giving your team a chance as a Sentinel player. That is peak gameplay to kind of look back over. It just comes down to a couple of moments, and I know we'll take a look at them here in a bit. When we flipped the sides, everything started to kind of be maybe a little bit kind of, I don't want to say like baited, but the web that was spun up defensively for Oxygen kept trapping the flies that were Thinking Men over towards that A site, allowing ramps to be taken, putting a little bit of pressure towards the backside at A screens, not necessarily up top at tower. And Thinking Men are like, hey, we've got so much free space here, let's use it. And that just kind of plays right into the hand of Oxygen's defense. So yeah, 1 for 5 in post plants, I think really kind of embolizes that in a really kind of numerical form. So I think that's really the big difference maker once we got out of the 6-6 half.
And to tie into that 1-on-5 that they won there for Thinking Men in terms of post plan had to come down to a 2K coming out from Reform on the attack to actually allow for them to get that win on a post plan when the lockdown was in favor there of Verno that was put up with Dapper at the same time. So you needed that player right there that you see on the top of the scoreboard as the MVP for Thinking Men to pull out so much magic to give him a chance. And I guess the state of the game as well for both of these teams, so that they had some very, very good, strong defensive halves. But Thinking Men on the other end, on the attack, you're lacking a little bit more of those rounds to be able to tally a couple of those in those last moments to really try to make this a more competitive game on their attack side. But if not, everything, if it was only a 12-round matchup, you definitely saw that it was neck and neck on how they were playing their defense.
My takeaway too, when we're looking at Reformed for this too, is that it wasn't just on the defense stepping up, but even when it was on the attack and things were kind of falling apart a little bit, for lack of better words, when we're looking at Thinking Men, still just working and trying his best to be putting up those numbers. It's still some absolutely insane shots. I think this should be just like Sentinel Appreciation Week coming out here, because honestly, it's hand in hand with what Verno was able to accomplish here, because oh my goodness, looking at both of these Sentinels on our first map to start things off was incredible. Shift, some of the shots that they were hitting, the holds that they were having, like unmatched.
No, and it's one of those things that we kind of talked about at the beginning of this. You know, we talked largely about how, you know, duelists are so easy to highlight, but how critical, especially in a map like Split, do you see the Sentinels coming up big? And 21-13 as a Sentinel is unbelievable. 289 ACS. And this is off of Verno, by the way, who only won 1 of his 4 first blood engagements. So kind of going back to what we were talking about, where Verno had been so good at kind of locking down sites by himself. You know, we didn't get a lot of time to really see that, mostly because it wasn't fully required. But it's one of those situations that the Sentinels are being trusted for both of these two teams to lock down sites, especially on the defensive side. And boy, do they provide that.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the story of how they both, let's take, for example, holding towards this B site that I give a lot of praise here to Reform and to Verno. Verno playing on a Cypher. Like, the idea around Split, as I mentioned before, is you have to try to stall as much as you can and allow for your teammates to play just util retake on the other side for the sites. But you're looking at players like Reform that he's using his cages, he's using his trips to go around the map on the B side and backstab some players around. For Verno, on the other hand, is place those nanoswarms, try to get a lot of damage out of that, and just try to find the right timing and catch the right timing so you're going head-to-head against your opponent and hoping that they're turning away, and then you're able to get those shots, which we saw that beautiful 4K from before with the amount of util that came through as an assist from his teammates in the end. So 2 different types of play styles that we saw here on the defensive side for the Sentinel players, but both being very potent and adding a lot of value to the roster.
And of course, when we're looking at performances like that, especially like from Reformed, you have to wonder where things kind of went wrong a little bit here. And Shift, you alluded to it a little bit before the break, but when we're looking at Thinking Men, there is one round in particular I want to call back to because I think it's really, really well illustrated here. Looking back at this round 8, because things kind of got a little bit awkward once we started getting into this mid-round play.
Yeah, and it's not even just the mid-round play, it's also in numbers situations that we kind of missed out on chances, and I say we as Thinking Men, where I just don't feel like you have to overextend by double stacking in towards mid here. And if I'm not mistaken, this was also the round where Verno found a kill over towards A ramps for free. I think it was a 5v3 situation before we got into that clip, and it's just, we don't have to chow that. You know, take your setup and just use your numbers. I just feel like they were trying to be a little bit too adjustable, and they were trying to take away too much of the map when you really didn't need to, because you're in a 5v3 situation, and they're at the end of 4v3 where all of a sudden you lose that top tower and you have to reset up your defense to play on site together in hand-in-hand moments, and it just feels like an unnecessary kind of risk that you just don't have to even be in that position in the first place if you just set yourself up with better numbers to begin with.
That's only the other thing for me too, is like when you're playing a game like Valorant and it's a tactical FPS and you've already used the amount of abilities and utilities that you could really do, you're at the fundamentals of what the game is, right? Being able to shoot, being able to trade, and try to gather information where you don't have utility. Yeah. At that point in the mid-rounding though, you had a little bit of movement from both ends because they thought that maybe there was some action in towards that B main that was still lurking towards the area. So you had, on one end, Vix had to push through towards the B main to get that info. On the other end, they're like, okay, we can't really turtle up into the site. Let's try to find more information towards A main. And it both kind of like moved into different spots, and one of them was bound to get caught. And unfortunately, the ones that got caught were the ones inside the site and not the one pushing towards B. So in the end, in that mid-round, to try to understand where your opponents would be positioning, then it was unfortunately a lesser better read, if I could put it to lack of better words, sure, at that point here on the defensive side here for Thinking Man, which unfortunately cost them the round. And there's been slight moments like that too when you're trying to understand that mid-round for the team, but that's also coming out with a brand new, composition here, looking at Split against Oxygen's strongest map pick, right? If not the strongest map that Oxygen has. So if you're still able to make this competitive and still able to shoot back on your defensive side, if you carry this over into your second map, into your own map pick, then you might be pretty good here to push this over to Lotus.
And that's what I'm looking for in this series. When looking back at the maps and where we're going to be going to next, looking at Ascent for these two teams, this is something that's going to be, surely from what we've seen from these teams, quite more traditional. And of course, teams are pretty well practiced on Ascent here. So when we look at this for Thinking Men's pick here, Shift, obviously they can shoot back. We saw that over and over, and this could be a really good chance to just kind of like take a breath, recognize where that went wrong in that first map. GG, let's hit Ascent hard.
And it's funny that you use the word traditional in the sense, because let's be honest, chat, I'll give you one guess in what compositions we expect to see, because it's been kind of the meta for the last 10 years. So it's one of those things too where, like you mentioned, now you're likely going to face up your matchup. Can you just over embellish some of the issues that you kind of had leaning towards Split? Because like you said, first blood engagements were pretty even across the board. There really weren't any major issues in terms of construction of what the ideas want to be. It just came down to what is the second and third layer of these approaches, both on the defensive and offensive side of the spike. I think in particular, you could really embellish that here on the offensive side on Ascent, just to see when you get through that first blood contact, what is our decision make going to be, and who do we have available to try to open up the space that we actually critically need to secure these post plants? Because getting the spike down has not been an issue. They had 5 spike plants in 6 rounds worth of offense last time. So just comes down to being able to hold that this time around.
Well, even if the agent select we don't really think has too many surprises, I'm hopefully the map itself definitely will lend itself that way. So it's time to hop into our agent select and get ready at the game. So Shift fans, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Here we go. Lock in Jet, KO, Omen, Killjoy. Just lock him in.
Yeah, there we go.
No surprise. Lock it in. Get me into the map.
If anything, it's not too bad, because as you're looking at this composition being a little bit more now basic, as we can put it this way, for Ascent, I do love that we're seeing a little bit more rounds that are catering towards the attack side too. That is because this is fundamentally the best composition you could currently use on this map of Ascent, right? And it's been proven for or at least the first couple of months and even the first year of this composition that it was very, very defender-sided. But at that point, you're able to now min-max a little bit more and add an extra step into your attacking side because now you know how the defense is played to win so many rounds on the defense. Now it allows for you to cook a little bit more to really try to min-max where that positioning of the defenders would be and really run through the type of rotates you could play against your opponents and at the same time even capitalize in moments on the attack when you're having perfect timings on hits. And it almost became to the point of like, yeah, it's kind of like Icebox where you're putting a wall up. So let's just go up towards middle. Let's break the alarm bot. Let's pivot back towards catwalk. Let's split towards the A side. But it's been different a little bit more at that point as well. You're starting to see a little bit more pressure towards the extremities as well to try to fight against that A main control, trying to counter against shark attacks as well onto the B link. So it really comes down to not only how you want to min-max positions, but even more adding value out of the IGLs that you currently have here in Lear Inferno on both ends.
I love that shout out. And I think in particular, just kind of looking at let's bring that statistic to life. OXG Esports have been miserable on the offensive side on this map in the past. So that is something to kind of keep our eye on when we eventually get over to the second half. On top of that, just to really stack the negatives here, just get it out of the way. Can OXG Esports win a third pistol? You know, that's the other part of it.
They start defense still statistically, even though we're seeing more, attacker side halves. Potentially, they might win a defensive round here on pistol.
We'll find out. It will be Thinking Men, as we already alluded towards, over towards the A site on the offense.
Huge.
Knife in place. Not really going to reveal too much, and same can be said on the other side here, as Redux is a bit stuck. And wow, this is a very peculiar setup for the offense, kind of stuck at mid. It does provide a wide open A site, but kills come through, and now we got a 5v3.
That is so nice from Redux just to stay stuck into the corner before he had help from his teammates. But Pain's trying to move forward here.
Opportunity to try to catch one off guard. It does it cleanly, wants more, and nearly gets it. Mitch following up with the pinch, but doesn't convert on what should have been likely a free kill. So now it's just down to how long can you hold this if you're Thinking Men. Scrubble Bubble gets caught tossing utility. Well, that's about how long they can hold it. Vix by himself, knife in hand. And that's not a knife that will find likely any help towards getting any extra damage done. Good first comes through, decent second, but the pistol still won regardless.
Yeah, I thought it was doable at that point if Vix was able to get another flick over because he still had some bullets left in that chamber. But again, just to go back to how that pistol round started, Redux not only got hit by a knife where he can't dash away, but also got scanned by the owl drone. Yet doesn't want to swing out with the sheriff to be like, oh crap, I'm probably in a one and done. He just tucked in that corner of Kench bench and just waited for someone to push into his crosshair and also waited for the pop flash to come through the smoke on the defense right here from Mitch and the rest to help out to their teammates that were pinned here and towards the corner. So it allowed for them really towards the end to have a 3 or 4 versus 2 on middle and have a flood retake towards the A side. So beautiful adjustments on the fly here from Oxygen Gaming, and we got our prayers answered. Oxygen Gaming, they won a pistol.
And it's interesting because just to kind of give the final reaction on that setup, I was just surprised that Thinking Men were trying to commit with only 2 players through mid to try to isolate the one. So it's just like, yeah, you got them isolated, but I don't know, felt like you were kind of forcing the square peg into the round hole right there. And now you got issues because there's judges on the map. That's pretty much the analysis of this round as Redux is playing nice and tight up top towards B.
And has dash and everything as well, so the judge is ready to put them in a sentence, which is probably the death penalty pretty much for Thinking Men. 5 of them grouped together. Underhand flash, turns away.
Dude, what? Give them all 5.
Dun, 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 dun.
What the heck? Brother, wait, can we get this in like a slow-mo replay? Do we have the ability of slowing this down? Because the fact that he gets the flash hits and then just snap, 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 thank you for the 4th, and then why not a little icing on the cake on the 5th? I know production is trying to get it in slow-mo. I call things literally too much. We're just going to get the final. Okay, that's fine.
That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Thank you, Zippo.
Brother. That's talk about a mental boon.
If anything, confidence for Oxygen Gaming at this point as well, right? And for Thinking Men, thankfully for them too, they didn't spend any money at all. They knew there was going to be some shenanigans, so they can have full shields in round number 3 with full utility.
Burnout tested at mid. Nice first from Paint. not going to commit through this, and the defense also just kind of has to wait and react to see if there's going to be a follow-up. And as soon as noise is cut, likely we'll see some sort of adjustment. Although, again, Mitch has a judge sitting in the corner here right before we get to tree, so no need to move the A defense around. Scout comes out. Dude, what? Man, Silly, I'm telling you.
Carry cycling judges.
Bronze the Radiant, judge only. I want to see it.
And they're like, hey, let's try to pivot towards this B side. Where's Dapper playing B with what a judge? No, but nonetheless, that does get really annoying to play against at this point. And a person that showed the true value of this map with a judge is also Sadak over at Loud with, again, what he's been cooking for this team, for the Brazilian side, adding a Viper on top of that, adding more possibilities of stepping away from this traditional composition on Ascent. But if it's not, you could still play the traditional composition and still get great value, off the judge.
Oh, Redux uncharacteristically missing kind of an easy one on towards clear. Shots towards Scuba did land on the entry, and they do flush him out. 1-for-1's not terrible, but Dapper with the judge in hand, way away from the site. Gonna have a hard time coming back into this. Does at least trade it out for a Vandal, and there are a couple of low health pulls, so don't call it quits yet.
Yeah. Even isolating a 1v1 against Reformed with this Vandal could be huge.
Oh, the 50-50 guess. Do you like left? Do you like right? Well, you liked right, but Reformed liked it better. So, I think he meant right back into her, and it's just one of those things you kind of felt when the judge hit again. You're just like, God, again? Like, at least they get the round through.
Yeah, exactly. At least they got the round through. They got the plant, extra 300 credits for a cross for the team. So it makes the buy a little bit less sketchy at that point as well, because yes, you have a couple of players still with small shields, but it adds a lot more into the amount of utility you could bring into this round, still make it salvageable, palpable here for Thinking Men on their attack side in round number 4. But the thing is, for Oxygen Gaming, with the amount of kills that Redux has been getting, now has Operator, has Bladestorm in the next round. Yeah. They're ready to snowball this as well in the first half,
There is not much more terrifying than early judges than early operators on this map, I think.
Yeah.
Smoke comes through. Lease wins the angle for now. Lear going to step into this a touch. Maybe an opportunity for an aggressive owl drone to kind of look in towards market if they want to. But Redux, he's got other things in mind, as it's either one shotgun or the other. There's the owl drone over the top. Redux trying to peek through, does have the support, looking for a peek, and whoa! What a shot on the Lear! Yeah, pardon me, on the paint as well. First 2 kills come through, Thinking Men only able to get 1 trade.
They did not care for Oxygen Gaming. You looked at that radar. Everybody was ready to pinch towards this mid side. They didn't care for the A side. They didn't care for a B. Playing very similar to Split. Delay, retake on both sides, and just fight towards the middle. And Redux also didn't care to get pinned. And pinned by the owl drone. Come at me, bro. Swings out, gets that kill onto paint, and I mean, that's beautiful.
I mean, if there's anything we learned from Redux in the last year and change of him playing is that I don't care, bro. Send the chow. Knife out. Should reveal 1. A little bit of an omen battle over here at A as Scuba does teleport back into the safety of the site, but getting forward at glass here could be huge towards the spike rotating over. Does he even catch Scuba as well? Oh boy. No! Not like this! Scrubby Bobby, what are we doing? No! Dude, that's pain!
10 seconds left. 1 enemy
I don't want to add insult to injury. Doable. Tap on the spike. No time left. Now it's over.
Bruh.
Oh my god, that's so unlucky, dude. That is just trying to shoot people behind sometimes. He almost had a calm flank, and as soon as he saw his opponent try to go in towards hell, he was like, I have to make a play right now, because if not, I don't know how many other players are actually gathered around the site, or I could get pinned very soon, which was going to be the case by Mitch from that spawn site in the end. Nonetheless, though, that's just very unfortunate, and it doesn't allow here for Thinking Man to turn around over. I mean, look at that. Reform still gets 2 kills on top of that, and it could have been a different story in the end for Thinking Man, but the story is the reality is that they're going to be on an eco in round number 5.
We should start a new series, a new like Valorant content series. Have you ever watched Chappelle's show where the Keeping It Real goes wrong? We should start a When Trigger Discipline Goes Wrong series.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not good. Knives out for Redux with the Stinger. Map control pretty much given here because you can't really combat against that if you're Thinking Men. So lots of issues here. Just cutting a little bit of noise, trying to create some doubt, not letting Oxygen get away with too much. But again, this is going to be hard to break through either of these 2 sites.
Yeah, and even then, I think this is actually quite good at the same time, though. Reform, just let himself get hit by the knife so that maybe they could try to scale through, because Lear's going to start owl droning at this point as well. And look at Reform. He's already backing up towards the A side.
Yeah.
They want to avoid this owl drone first, and then they're going to re-clear to think, okay, now you have a Silva and a Killjoy on the B side. Let's start rotating over there, and gives them numbers advantage to hit towards the A site.
Yeah, but the problem is, look at how far Mitch has gotten around the back of this. Plus, you still have knives here. Dapper, just cool as a cucumber, just staying here saying, come get me. And Redux says, I got you, brother. Wow, bro. I mean, freaking wow. That's unreal.
That's a different story of that round number 8 that we were talking about before here for Thinking Men on their defensive side of split. Whereas when one person tried to push through, the other one went back to the site to where he could support his teammates. So instead of having 2 players and narrowing down the numbers of defenders you have towards the A site, Redux came over to help. He has Blade Storm to assist. They had a perfect Paranoia to also counter Paranoia on the attack. And unfortunately, that fake that was attempted by Thinking Men was foiled because they didn't wait enough time for that rotate to happen.
Yeah. And again, Oxygen's getting proactive, man. I love to see proactive Valorant, especially from the defensive side. You got advantages, use them.
Yeah.
Aldrone again through mid, this time not going to scout out too much. Still the operator in hand if you Redux, but kind of the same idea for Thinking Man. Hey, we got a little bit of mid-arch control, let's take it. Put a little bit of pressure on Mitch here at Cubby, which I'm sure he's fine with. He's one of the best, I would say, at KO playing in this position, and Reformed will be backed off his angle.
Luckily for that, too, because not so lucky for Lear, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he had crosshair placement to look down towards middle. But here's the execution towards the A site.
Mitch getting a second, not bad at all. Scuba still existing on site, just trying to hold through this null command. Gets Paranoia, doesn't seem to care. Dark cover's already in place, so he's already nearsighted. Oxygen right back in towards it, and my goodness, dude, these guys are filthy. It's just the individual 1v1s literally are 50-50s, and they take them in a bullet. Unreal.
Yeah, that brings me back to the days where Scuba was playing with Knights, and they were going on a 13 or 30-0 map pool or a map record on Ascent, where he was playing an Astra, and when they were getting hit towards that site, just pops that smoke in the middle. And I think then you start seeing more and more of these Omen/Astra smokes inside the site, so you're able to add more obstacles to hide into, more angles for the opponents to run around. You hear all the footsteps and you get the timings through, and that really changed the name of the game of trying to anchor with controllers for a team, which again brings a lot more value now to controllers on the site, controller even opping now as well, as you're playing maps that could maybe want to leverage Raze a little bit more at that point. Yeah,
sure.
Right. So in the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is Scuba's amazing.
Spark notes. Scuba good.
Scuba good. Next round, timeout, Thinking Man. And at that point, it's again, they're trying to do a lot of this default control towards the mid, where they can't really cross. We talked about that line of scrimmage, right? Trying to get through, Kench bench to what EG likes to call M1, M2, and M3. So M1 is the archway, M2's pizza, M3's behind towards the spawn. So you're trying to add more pressure there to break the alarm bot so they could actually start rotating some defenders outside of that catwalk area, but it never had a chance to do that. Oxygen Gaming are super happy to fight outside of catwalk at M1 and really fight back against Thinking Men's default. So now for Thinking Men, I think they have to start adding more bodies to the mid control at the beginning.
Well, and I think there's also an element, just to kind of go super simplistic. Dude, I mean, Verno has got his feet up right now. He's 0-1-0. He hasn't had to do anything because Redux is just destroying everybody.
It's kicking his feet. It's like, this is a fun day at the park, just holding a sight,
Check Twitter real quick.
Yep.
Sitting back boathouse. Like, he's even got Dapper in front of him. Like, he can, knock on the door and be like, Verno, we need you. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm here. Speaking of being tested, a little bit of an opening play here from Paint. A little flash dash in, no worries. Bob up nanos, bold peak, but everything's still at least, I was gonna say, I should allow the spike to get in, but it does get a little bit trapped up by Scuba. Redux is looking to do whatever he can from up top. Scuba bobbles up, absolutely perfectly. Rinse, wash, repeat. Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline.
Or Scrubble Bubble, I don't know. We're just keeping it around with the cleaning products tonight on cast. But there you go. Lyra comes in, picked off, and that was the lower buy that you saw for Thinking Men. So obviously you saw the Oxygen Gaming winning this round here with how They were just better positioned at that point with the weaponry. So at least now this comes to important rounds here on the attack for Thinking Man. You could start cycling a little bit of these ultimates in your end. And thankfully enough, you got 3 on your side that you could potentially cycle at least 2 at once in terms of the from the shadows lockdown to this B site that are leaning towards 2 at the beginning. Or you could add 1 by 1 by 1 after 3 rounds, which hopefully can make this a closer storyline in the second half, in the first half, sorry.
Yeah, I think if you can get to 4 here, if you're Thinking Men, you'll be happy with that. What a reveal! Doesn't quite amount to too much, but it gives an opportunity. You also got to keep in mind that Lear does have the offensive Odin in play, so expect him to just get to work spamming. I mean, come on. That's going to be so frustrating. Paint drops, that's your entryman, but at least Scrubble Bubble does get on this site, should allow a plant to come through, but you're really just banking that this Hunter's Fury from Lear hits. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Man, right now at this point, it's the Crossfire 2 on market. It hits.
Well done. First 2 kills good for Reform. Follows up with just the nano just to make sure no one's there. Paranoia will not amount to too much.
1 enemy.
And here we go. Now you got the spam ability coming out, and okay, cooking with a little bit of spice as Thinking Men find their second round.
And you're playing at what? It was a 1-player disadvantage. One thing is, you were talking about Lear on the Odin, offensive attack on the Odin. Thankfully, is a recon dart that stuck right into the chest of Redux that forced him to get out of position and also pinged the defender in the spawn, being Verno, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So that allowed here for Thinking Man to get in the site. But at the same time, when they realize that they're 1 player down on the post plant, you can't turtle in the site. Everybody's already around, so they wanted to create space, run behind the Hunter's Fury with the crossfire they have set up on market, and run those trades. So beautifully done to adapt. But that took all of your resources into this round, and you have so much money still for Oxygen Gaming. They still have an Odin, they still have an Operator, and thankfully, once again, a beautiful recon dart to get him out of position, but still gets a kill.
That is just, another moment where you look at just the brilliance of Redux. He gets scouted out, Paint's holding the angle. Redux says, maybe they have an Operator. Let me just smoke my cross, get over to the other side, find the free first blood. It's just one of those things you look at if you're a Thinking Man fan and you just give a deep sigh.
I mean, Redux right now just has free reign at the beginning of every single one of these rounds on mid, brother. And now that's the thing. You're going into the mid-rounding. There's a minute mark left, and Verno went into a blind spray because that's the other thing. Fundamentals of tactical FPS. You're 1 player behind. You have to start creating some space if you're going to try to play some contact. So they tried to, lean up a little bit towards the extremities, and the wallbang hits you, and now you're 2 players under.
Uh-oh, Paint's going to get bothered with the reveal. He's going to be looking up towards heaven, and Redux is down low. Goodness. It goes from bad to worse that quickly. That quickly. Do it! 180, 360 him. Do it! He's thinking about it. He's trying to give away the barrel.
I love this. Yeah, exactly. I love it. And now he leans in and just maybe moves in short. I mean, his teammate's already there. It doesn't really matter at this point, but he was definitely toying with his food there pretty much at this point. And that's, again, the beautiful reads that Oxygen and Gaming have, are just positioning in the end. You take the first pick, you get a kill from Redux, you pivot him towards that B site, you have an alarm bot to still watch towards the middle if you need to work back for control and defense on mid. You have the wall bang potential with this on the B site, so might as well just bring your strong cannon towards the left side, A side, and you still get 2 more kills in the round. So they have to figure out at this point, Thinking Man, there was already a timeout that's been burnt. It was to try to figure out how they could take down Redux, and they still can.
Yep. He's a problem. To put it plainly, a lot of mid-focus. You hit this a couple rounds ago, and you're absolutely right. Still, all this extra mid-focus for Thinking Man, which you can at least appreciate the idea of creating issues, but let's be candid, there are no issues because Oxygen are so set. Now you've got Mitch playing at market for the first time defensively. Knife is out. Couple of trades, yeah, sure, but defense is still in a very solid position, and the cleanup is very swift. 8-2 goes the score.
And that's a read, beautiful from Oxygen Gaming, on how even you set the macro for that round. At some point, Thinking Man will finally add more bodies to take control towards mid. They did it. They had 3 players, I think, at that point, trying to go for a pop flash dash into market. Where was the op? On catwalk if they had to fall back.
Yep.
Where's the support? An Odin that's playing from Switch this time with a crossfire there towards market to mow down the 2 players trying to attempt to move inside the market side for Thinking Man. This has been beautiful so far on the defensive side from A to Z for Oxygen Gaming. That the min-maxing that we're talking about here at this point is not on this operator working extremities. It's always towards middle, and it's always getting picks.
What would you put the over-under on Redux total kills operator? I'm going 15.
At this point, I would go under.
Okay.
15
15 was bold, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like 15 and a half with an op.
let's go 10. Because right now he's not
It'd be over. I'd like to say 12, 13, something like that for sure.
Okay, so 15 wasn't that bad for a blind.
It wasn't that bad.
overrun.
It wasn't that bad. I was gaslighting you at that point to say that you're
Perfect.
out of
Well,
your mind.
you weren't. It worked out. Guy just bought some odds right there. First blood tallied, of course, by way of no one was surprised. An operator. A couple of orbs picked up, maybe cooking with something
Finally
here for tree
something.
as well. Can be Mitch a little bit further back in towards sight. Does force Redux to have to kind of pay mind over towards this top class position.
And that's the thing. Look at him. He was positioned all the way back towards spawn and all the way rotating back all the way towards garden. So where he doesn't have that forward position anymore, Thinking Man adapted on the fly. Look for the pressure towards the cat. They get it, but Redux is there on him. And
Now Mitch trying to keep himself alive backside on the site. Not fully. So just no one moves. No one moves for free. Little pop up. Surely not. Okay. If he gets out of that, I don't know. 1v2 situation for Scuba. A bit unknown for a moment here in the back. He's got the spike in front of him. Dark cover has to be pushed through. First one. Good. Oh my goodness. He gets the second through the dark cover. Ah, they could do no wrong, Van Silly.
Last round.
oh my god, I you know, it's one of those moments in a ranked games where you're like, I saw the vision. I saw how that was gonna work. And I said I loved it because Vix had the ult. It gives him second life. He runs through the smoke to figure out where the shots are coming from. Hopefully he gets lucky with the kill, but if he doesn't, hopefully his teammate's gonna get the kill. But unfortunately, his teammate got sprayed through a smoke right after on that 1 versus 2. Scuba continue to being an awesome player right now on a map like Ascent, but it really boils down to Redux getting picks after picks everywhere. I'm now sounding like a broken record, but it's been the state of the game right now for how Thinking Man has been dominated by this operator now, once again, holding middle. He got pinged out by the recon dart this time, but he doesn't care. Never activated the dash, almost had an opportunity there, especially with the Vertal getting a ping off the owl drone.
Yep.
So they're going to move him towards Catwalk. Oh, I love
Here.
this.
Okay. Going to create some space over towards the A site. Scuba still finds one. Does get traded. Fragment down should create a little bit of a delay here towards Thinking Man. And wow, if Paint whiffs on that one. Yeesh. At least able to kind of keep this at a 3 for 3. Dapper still has the Killjoy ultimate on the retake, and he may even use this to contest this post point. Yeah, sure will.
Tries to TP away too, behind the lockdown, and actually, well, they'll never hear this. They'll never hear this. He has an opportunity to backstep now.
Just down to the timing here, Leader. A couple of shock darts over the top. No detainment comes through, but it's the immediate trigger, at least in the sound cue, to try to hop onto this. Leader getting tagged. Still comes away with one. That is perfectly fine. But how does Redux predict that?
No,
so now all of a sudden it's a 2v2. Trigger comes through again, but Paint surprises from Tree. If he pulls this off, I don't even know what. I have no words if he pulls this off.
It's not happening. It can't happen, right?
Surely not. And finally, no. So 9-3 half. Okay.
And that's what I love. That's what I love, at least from the last 2 rounds that we saw from Thinking Man. Despite them not winning that, the before last round, they still tried to activate a lot faster. It came down to, okay, if we can't really get early control, let's at least, if we lose a player, activate somewhere else and tempo up and make sure that our trades are good. And the trades have been pretty good, if I could put it that way, for Thinking Man for the last 2 rounds. And they committed to that one, to the same type of game plan in round number 12, and they got that one successfully in the end because they used a Hunter's Fury to really not allow Redux to get into good position. So at this point, you eliminate all this emotional damage that's been accumulated on how Oxygen's been so good on the defensive side, and hopefully you can bring it back on your end. And it's looking pretty good. They're looking for some sort of shark attack now with more pressure towards the B main.
I'm just going to throw this out there because my man who loves chaos. Well, pause. I was going to say, this isn't the first time that Oxygen have come away with a 9-3 half and lost the map. So I was trying to build into that storyline, but clean pistol engagement towards B main.
Tune in next week in week number 3 of Oxygen Gaming. So far, it's not going to be the case. So far, we're getting a great first and second map here from Oxygen Gaming.
Feels that way. 4v2 situation. Scrubble Bubble is on essentially a shot and a half worth of HP. Some clearance here towards the front side, but yeah, how do you break this down 2v4 into a tight site with utility still available? Recon dart will not fully reveal. Paranoia also comes through to delay the retake. And this is just kind of one of those mindless play-by-play moments that you just kind of wait for the inevitable, and the inevitable.
No, 101. You always gotta find hope. There's always gonna be hope.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely if they got like an instant kill on some bad peaks that would be coming out of Oxygen Gaming, and that's the name of the game though. As it became pointless for you to call the play-by-play, it just shows how Oxygen Gaming were so good and still disciplined on a post plan, on their score lead, to stay tucked behind and not give a chance for your opponents to actually come back in the game. So I feel there's almost been some heavy talk into how they could actually iron out their pistol rounds for Oxygen Gaming. And to show that result on that last pistol round on the attack and not giving up any bodies on the post plan, it shows a lot of.
Bro, this is the whole W strat right here. Yep. Don't even hit the shift button. Just run through mid.
Yeah, we already have enough shifts with one on the broadcast, right?
Here with that. Oh, but wait a second. Do they get a little bit maybe blessed here? Because Reformed heard all of this.
Yes.
It just comes down to his turret is in place to say, wait, they haven't committed to B yet, so this could get really interesting.
If anything, thankfully, yes, they slowed down their W gaming, but they didn't go towards the A site where their stack was. So the only thing that's going to be like, oh crap, there's something here, it's a turret. Now they decide, do we go towards the site even if we break the turret? They will, and then they'll realize that the site's open, so that's okay. If not, if they were going to overthink it a third time and say, oh crap, there's maybe a stack here, we move back towards A, then it was GG. But now you could, I'm going to give it back to you here, Shift, because this is going to be another one of those pointless play-by-play rounds.
Yeah. Double Vandals as well, by the way. So you got one on site, one on the cross. Stinger for Redux. Looking for 25 kills. Maybe more. Brother. I mean, come on.
One enemy remaining.
He's just
that's aggression off the post plant, right? Beautifully done. You have Mitch in the back of that B site, and they understand at this point, just like they did on their defensive side, that when they go against the pistol rounds, they're confident with their rifles, and they just want to fight against our opponents. They rushed on defense and won that fight. This time around, pop flash came from Mitch in the back of the bullet house, all the way out towards spawn. It blinds Lear towards the spawn. Easy kill for the Stinger. And that allows here, once again, you were talking about the amount of kills from Redux at this point. 2 kills right here. He's 1 away from the Blade Storm. And that, again, is, a slight change to how even FaZe played towards the past, where Baby Bait was the one that was always trying to find kills so he could get Blade Storms in round number 4. So I love this play that you have from Oxygen Gaming. Give all those skills to Redux, get those Blade Storms out as fast as possible so you can force an op out on the attack if you want to, as soon as possible.
Yep, I mean, he's holding on to the Stinger to afford that op next round if they want it.
Exactly.
The only thing he's really kind of given us that's like, come on, man, is he's going to ruin my over-under if they just end this map too soon to where he can get the operator again. So an opportunity here, all things told, let's be honest, to try to build towards Thinking Men, getting the defense going. It starts right here. Perfect. Raid boss down.
And Raid boss on the other end, though. Actually, I might say it's going to be Reformed here. So he's able to step up to the plate. Level 2 right now for Reformed. And he's going on a 1 versus 2.
Tough shot. Yeah, Mitch. He's going to take that 1v1 every day. Well done. 3v3. And, Lear gets caught. Odin in hand, I was going to say, could potentially be a nice defensive force here towards B, but Dapper, who really hasn't had to do much this game, finds himself the first kill on the re-engagement, and that will set up the post plant.
And they give him an Odin. That's now he's going to have some fun. He didn't have a chance to do a lot of fun. He's going to have some fun now. Alarm bot is going to ring, and he's just going to ring that Odin.
There it is. Bring back the old 2021 meme of Odin go burr. Flash over. Alzar's still guarding, and yeah, there you go. I was going to say, only a matter of time before they figure out where Scrubble Bubble is. 6. I mean, I don't want to say there's no reason not to go for it, because the Vandal would be nice for the next round, but I just don't think you have a choice. You kind of have to try to force this.
Wait, I'm the turret.
And, well, gets through for the first. Problem is, he didn't get the recon dart. So, easy follow-up, 12-3.
Yeah, there was an opportunity there if he actually swung through that turret, and then off the first kill, there was a miss swing out there out of Oxygen Gaming. But again, we talked about the discipline, how much they want to work on certain things such as pistol rounds. I love that once again. They're turning every single stone to make sure that they don't miss anything here. And they threw the recon dart right on the lane. It missed, and then boom, killed. At that point, here's the last timeout for Thinking Men, potentially even of the series, because this is going to be pretty broken as a buy. So a Hail Mary is what I'm expecting here out of these players now on the attack. But you know what? When you're trailing behind by so far in a 9-3 half and you're out of timeout, you're still going to try to call into the void, into darkness, not understanding really how your opponents are going to currently be playing their attack side because they haven't had a chance to play too many defensive rounds on their end here for Thinking Men. So this is going to be a very tough call right now.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like we'll spend time in the post-match breakdown pending, of course, I don't want to make it sound like the script has been written, but pending that Oxygen kind of take this map home. This is a series that I think you look at if you're Thinking Men and you spend 90% of your time reviewing over with the mid-round adjustments that didn't go well for you on Split. Because this is one of those maps you look at and say, Redux is just freaking nasty. Like, I hate to make it sound so simple, but when he's getting away with first bloods with operators, following up with insane shots on these attacks that the executes don't look bad by design, but it's just special players making special plays. You know, it's one of those you kind of look at this map overall and say, hey, okay, you know, such is life.
Yeah. Such is life at this point, too. And the Hail Marys a stack on the mid, the fast pivot to A site. For Oxygen, full execution, knife. Doesn't allow more nanostorms to come out.
Yeah.
There's some trades.
Some trades, but it's not likely enough, you'd think. Spike gets planted. Paint and Scrubble will have to retake with Guardians, which is never what you want. And this would have to be just a 3-man flood from one side or the other, most likely. Flash out, just delaying the inevitable a little while longer. Second flash could still be here just to add an extra layer. And you still have Dapper tucked away safely over at A main.
Oh my god.
Paranoia comes out a little bit too late. And, well, that will be all she wrote. Wow. What a series. What a map from Oxygen, flat out.
Sorry, I just wanted to give one more hope after I saw that headshot. But yeah, definitely what a map in the end. And you know what? I mean, look at them. Barely any reaction coming out of it towards the end for Oxygen Gaming. They felt like they were, again, in the driver's seat throughout the whole series. And definitely they did. I felt like they didn't really break a sweat at all. Especially on this map of Ascent on defense. You talked about what Verno just kicking his feet in the back of the B site. I think all of them were kicking their feet. It was just Redux that was there just doing everything.
Unreal stuff. Well, we have Sierra, who did not have much of a chance to get a break. Right back into the map we go. Sierra, I mean, this is one of those maps that, again, I think that the easy analysis is you say one word, you say Redux, and then you send it to the next series.
I felt like the rest of Oxygen during this series. I'm just sitting there enjoying a drink in hand, sipping my iced tea, watching this. You guys do the work here as Redux is doing the work for this. Honestly, just the Redux show. This was incredible coming out. I'm not really too surprised, Vans. At the end of it, you're looking at the player counts and no reaction. Coming into this, we knew Oxygen was going to be a pretty strong team. That was a third place team from last year when we're looking at Challengers. Mostly unchanged. They're leveling up. I think that confidence is there.
100%. And when you're looking at the offseason too, leading into the VCLs, a lot of teams that you were thinking about, especially having a lot of games and tournaments that Oxygen has played throughout the offseason, right? I'm thinking about the SOAR event that they played. And right after that, they played the Sean Garris Invitational. I know, Sean Garris, you're doing a watch party right now, so shout out to you for supporting the offseason for the Challenger scene as well. And we were able to get a lot of tape on this team where they had to play week number 1 against an M80 team that did nothing on their end in terms of, or showed nothing, or should I put it this way, on their end in terms of tape and what they've been working on with Nitro coming in. So for this to still become a 3-map series, for MXS towards the end when they played against them, it was still some head-to-head games that they played against each other at that point. Sorry, I had to correct myself there for week number 1. But it's still the name of the game there. There's been some tape on them, and then after playing against MXS, it's like, oh, well, maybe Oxygen Gaming didn't look as prepared for the VCL when you had such a showdown against MXS. Sure. But now when you're seeing this series and this result in the end against Thinking Men, it really shows that, okay, crap, they definitely are cooking a lot here, and they have a point to make this season for the VCL.
Well, even thinking back to Oxygen, because going back and forth, they played MXS so many times in the off season that at that point, I feel like it was just...
That is also true.
That was its own matchup at that point.
Yeah.
That was two teams that really know well of each other. So I'm more excited to see this Oxygen going forward, facing off against the rest of the teams when we do finally get to see them play the other powerful teams that we have here going on, exactly where they're going to be stacking up. Great stuff, though, and I will have the opportunity to speak to Oxygen Esports, but of course, we're going to have a quick break first, so don't go too far.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
After a pretty quick ascent, it's going to be Oxygen Esports to take the series 2-0, to be having a tied record now, 1-1, going on in week 2 of Challengers. Some great stuff coming out from the team, though, and I have Mitch on the line to chat a little bit more about that. First off, congratulations on the week and the win here for week 2. At the end, looking at the player cams, the team seemed really chill. Was this kind of an expected win for the team?
I mean, yeah, in the sense that, yeah, we think we should win every match, but we just try to go out there and play our game every week, and we know if we stick to what we do in practice, we're gonna beat every team. So this week was a good challenge. I mean, they're still a pretty solid team, Thinking Men. So I wouldn't say it was like really easy mop, but yeah, we come in thinking that we're going to win every match.
I like the confidence, and I want to ask, how are you feeling about like the approach to the game this week in comparison to last? Because I know you tweeted out that a little bit of a slow start for the team last week.
Yeah, I mean, last week was just playing the first match in like 2 months or something, so there was a little bit of rust to shake off. I mean, there was some things that we had to talk about after the match, and basically like just communication problems is the biggest thing, and I think we fixed it this week.
It's good to hear, though, and I'm excited about this team as well, because we got to see OXG Esports last year do really, really well in Challengers. Of course, we had the super teams of M80 and the Guard competing, so it was definitely a tough challenger. So I'd love to know your thoughts now with how everyone's progressing, how Oxygen Esports kind of stacks up against these super teams that we have this time around, and if you're considered one of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you ask anybody, I think they put us, Moist, and M80 in the top 3 every time, you know, anybody asks who's going to go to Ascension. So I think we are in the top 3. Obviously, it's going to come down to who's in form when that the playoffs come around. So, I mean, we're going to be the best that we can be, and we're going to keep on grinding until we get there.
And do you think this team in its current iteration is ready for that? Or is there still kind of things you'd like to work on throughout the split to make sure this team can be ready for that moment?
I mean, obviously, I think we are ready right now. We're still going to get better. Obviously, we need to get some more strats down. Think of more things, new comps, you know, anything like that. But yeah, I think we are ready. We really want it to come fast, but it's going to take a couple months. Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And
yep.
I definitely want to see a little bit more Oxygen Esports here going up against these teams that we have. And talking about the team being ready, talking about players that are ready as well. Obviously, going into things, Redux was a player that's talked about a lot. Everyone's looking up to just what he's able to do out here. Huge performance coming out. I would love to know how it is just kind of having these matches, being the IGL for Redux, and just how he's able to take over the game. He didn't need any babysitter, anything over on Ascent. That was nuts.
Yeah. I mean, that's his playground on Ascent there on defense. He does what he wants, and I'm like, all right, go ahead. I'll throw a flash for you if you need it, but you could do your thing. But yeah, he's an incredible player. I mean, a lot of props to Bonker and Rustin for help shaping him and Verno up. They do an incredible job with the young guys, and I just try to sprinkle in a little bit of experience on them too.
Well, I mean, the whole team coming together looks really nice, so definitely give yourself the props there. Congratulations, Mitch, again on the win.
Thank you.
I'll let you go hang out for the night, but have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. As for us, to start things off, but of course, we still have one more series on the day. It's going to be Core going up against Moist. I'm Shopify after this break.